Taewon Kim looked out the viewport as the transport ship approached Harmonia Station. The massive ring-shaped structure floated in space, glittering with thousands of lights. This was his new home for the next 6 months. He felt both excited and nervous. "First time seeing Harmonia?" asked the blue-skinned alien sitting next to him. Taewon nodded. "Yes, first time leaving Earth, actually." The alien made a whistling sound that Taewon's translator interpreted as laughter. "You humans are still so new to space, cute." Taewon chose not to respond to that. He had been warned about this attitude. Most aliens saw humans as newcomers to the galactic community, weak, primitive, and barely worth noticing. As the first human invited to train at the Galactic Alliance Academy, he had a big responsibility on his shoulders. The ship docked smoothly. Taewon grabbed his single bag and followed the other passengers off the transport. The station's artificial gravity felt slightly lighter than Earth's, making his movements feel bouncy and strange. A human woman waited for him at the arrival gate. She wore the blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. "Instructor Kim," she called, waving. "I'm Subin Park, Earth's deputy liaison to Harmonia." They shook hands. "Thank you for meeting me," Taewon said. "Please call me Taewon. How was your journey?" Subin asked as she led him through crowded corridors. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved around them. Some walked on 2 legs, others on 4 or more. Some floated. Some slithered. Taewon tried not to stare. "Long," he answered. "I've never been in space for 3 weeks before." Subin smiled. "You'll get used to it. The academy quarters are in the outer ring. I'll take you there first, then to meet Professor Do-hyun." As they walked, Subin explained more about the station. Harmonia hosts representatives from over 27 alien species. The Galactic Alliance built it as a neutral meeting ground. The academy takes up about 1/4 of the station. "And I'm the first human student," Taewon said. "Yes, it took years of negotiation to get you this spot. Earth is only a probationary member of the Alliance. Many species think we shouldn't be here at all." Subin's voice lowered. "They think we're too violent, too unpredictable." Taewon frowned. "But I'm here to take a combat course, like that's the irony. They consider us primitive, yet they want to study our combat techniques. It's complicated." She stopped at a door. "These are your quarters." The room was simple but comfortable. It had 2 sleeping areas, a shared living space, and what appeared to be a bathroom adapted for multiple species. "You have a roommate," Subin explained. "His name is Kral. He's avian, bird-like species. Very friendly." No sooner had she said this than the door slid open. A tall, thin alien entered. He had feathers instead of hair, a sharp beak-like mouth, and large eyes. He wore a simple gray uniform. "Ah," he chirped. "You must be the human." His translator made his voice sound slightly mechanical. "I am Kral." Taewon bowed slightly. "I'm Taewon Kim. Nice to meet you." Kral tilted his head. "You are smaller than I expected. The videos show humans as very large and strong." "Those are probably our athletes or soldiers," Taewon explained. "I'm average size for a human male." "Interesting. I have many questions about humans." Kral's feathers puffed up with excitement. Subin checked her device. "We should go. Professor Do-hyun is waiting." They left Kral and headed deeper into the station. Subin led him to an office where another human waited. Professor Do-hyun was an older man with gray hair and a serious face. He stood when they entered. "Instructor Kim, welcome to Harmonia." They shook hands. "Please sit." Once they were seated, Do-hyun got straight to the point. "Your presence here is politically important. Earth needs allies in the Alliance. Your performance in this course will affect how they see all humans." Taewon nodded. "I understand." "Good. The course is called Interspecies Defense Tactics. You'll study how different species fight and defend themselves, and you'll demonstrate human techniques." "What should I expect from the other students?" Taewon asked. Do-hyun exchanged a look with Subin. "Skepticism, mostly. Maybe some hostility. Many have never met a human before. They've only heard stories about Earth's wars." "Great," Taewon said dryly. "Your main instructor will be Vix. He's arthropoid, insect-like. Very traditional, very proud of his species. He was against accepting a human into the course. Why? He thinks humans are too primitive to understand advanced combat tactics. He'll try to prove this point through you." Taewon felt a flash of anger but kept his face neutral. "I see. One more thing," Do-hyun added. "You'll meet Headmaster Ulick tomorrow. He's molluscoid. Think octopus-like. Be respectful but confident. He's watching Earth's progress closely. After the meeting, Subin took Taiwan to the Academy mess hall. The large room had various eating stations adapted for different species needs. Taiwan selected what the menu called Earth-compatible protein meal. It looked like rice and vegetables with some kind of meat. They sat at an empty table. Taiwan noticed many aliens watching him with obvious curiosity. "You're the most interesting thing on the station right now," Subin said, following his gaze. First human at the academy. As they ate, a group of alien students approached. Their leader was tall with a hard exoskeleton and multiple limbs, an arthropoid like Veeks, Taiwan guessed. "So this is the human," the arthropoid said, mandibles clicking. "I am Zrix, senior combat student." Taiwan stood and bowed slightly. "Taiwan Kim." Zrix circled him, studying him with compound eyes. "No natural armor. No claws, no venom. Weak muscles compared to most species. How do you survive?" The aliens with Zrix made sounds that the translator indicated were laughter. Taiwan maintained his composure. "We manage. You will find the academy challenging, human. Our combat techniques have evolved over thousands of years." "I look forward to learning," Taiwan replied evenly. Zrix seemed disappointed by his calm response. The alien group moved away, still laughing. Subin smiled apologetically. "That went better than expected." "Are they all like that?" Taiwan asked. "Many, yes. Most species here evolved with natural weapons. Claws, venom, armored skin. They don't understand how humans became a dominant species without these advantages." "They'll find out," Taiwan said quietly. The next morning, Taiwan met Headmaster Ulik. The molluscoid administrator floated in a tank of bluish liquid. Tentacles moved constantly, manipulating controls and devices. "Instructor Kim," Ulik's voice came through a speaker. "Welcome to the Galactic Alliance Academy. Thank you for accepting my application, Headmaster. It was controversial. Many believe humans are not ready for advanced knowledge. Your species is very young, very aggressive." Taiwan chose his words carefully. "We are eager to learn and share knowledge with the Alliance." "We shall see." Several tentacles waved dismissively. "Your first class begins in 1 hour. Do not be late." The combat training facility was enormous, bigger than any gym Taiwan had seen. Different areas were set up for various training types. Some students practiced with energy weapons. Others floated in zero-gravity chambers. Some fought inside what looked like force fields. Taiwan stood with the new students, feeling extremely out of place. He was the only human among 15 aliens of different species. Many stared at him openly. Instructor Veeks entered. He was larger than Zrix, with a black exoskeleton and 4 arms. He wore a silver uniform that seemed ceremonial rather than practical. "New students," Veeks's voice was harsh through the translator. "Welcome to advanced combat training. I see we have many promising species represented." His compound eyes fixed on Taiwan. "And one human." Taiwan stood straighter. "Today we assess your natural abilities. Each species has evolved different combat advantages. We will catalog these and then begin training." The assessment was difficult. Each student demonstrated their natural abilities while sensors recorded data. Taiwan watched aliens display impressive natural weapons, poisonous spines, razor-sharp claws, extraordinary strength, and more. When his turn came, Taiwan performed basic physical tests. Running, jumping, lifting weights, punching a sensor pad. His results were unimpressive compared to the aliens with their specialized biology. Vex made no attempt to hide his contempt. As expected, humans have no significant natural advantages. No claws, minimal muscle mass, slow reflexes. He addressed the whole class. This is why humans rely on artificial weapons for combat. They lack basic evolutionary adaptations. Some students laughed. Taiwan kept his face carefully blank. "Tomorrow we begin actual training," Veeks continued. "The human may struggle to keep up." After class, Taiwan returned to his quarters. Kral was there, studying on a holographic display. "How was your first day?" the avian asked. "Educational," Taiwan said. "Vex is harsh with all new students," Kral offered. "Especially those from less advanced species. No offense. None taken." Taiwan began stretching, then started a series of push-ups. Kral watched curiously. "What are you doing?" "Training. Humans have to work to maintain our strength." "Fascinating. Most species just are what they are." Taiwan moved to sit-ups. "Humans adapt. It's what we do." Later that night, Taewon sent a message back to Earth to his commanding officer. Arrived safely at Harmonia. First impressions of the Academy. They think we're weak because we lack natural weapons. They have no idea what humans are capable of. None at all. We'll update after first week of training. Kim, out! 2 weeks had passed since Taewon began training at the Galactic Alliance Academy. Each day brought new challenges. Today's class focused on theoretical combat scenarios. Taewon sat in the large lecture hall surrounded by alien students. The room was designed to accommodate many different body types. Some seats were filled with water. Others had special attachments for different limb configurations. Instructor Veek stood at the front displaying holographic battle scenarios. Today we analyze defensive postures for multiple-limbed species. Those with fewer than 4 limbs may struggle with these concepts. His compound eyes fixed on Taewon, the only student with just 2 arms and 2 legs. Several alien students made clicking sounds that translated as laughter. Taewon ignored them. He had grown used to these jabs. Instead, he focused on taking notes. Even if the techniques were designed for different body types, he could adapt the principles. After class, Taewon stayed behind to review the material. A crystalline figure approached him. The alien was silicon-based with a body that sparkled like glass in the light. Human, the translator conveyed a formal, precise tone. I am Lith. May I ask you questions? Taewon nodded. Of course. Lith sat nearby, crystal joints making soft chiming sounds. How did humans survive without natural defenses? No armor, no significant speed, no venom. The question was direct but seemed genuinely curious rather than mocking. We adapted, Taewon explained. We developed tools, weapons, and fighting techniques to compensate. And we learned to work together. Fascinating, Lith's body shifted colors slightly. Most species rely on natural evolutionary advantages. Tools supplement these advantages. Humans reverse this pattern? Yes, I suppose we did. This explains your Academy database classification. Class D combat potential. Low natural ability, high technological dependence. Taewon frowned. Class D? There's a ranking system? Of course. Based on natural combat effectiveness. Class A species like the arthropoids have natural weapons, armor, and strength. Humans lack these. Taewon felt a flash of annoyance but kept his voice neutral. The classification doesn't consider learned skills? Only natural abilities? Correct. The database assumes all species maximize their natural potential through training. It doesn't account for... Lith paused, searching for words. Compensation through technique alone. I see, Taewon said quietly. That's an interesting assumption. Later that day, Taewon sat in the station's communication center, speaking with Jiho Lee, his commanding officer back on Earth. The secure channel allowed them to talk privately. They've classified us as Class D combatants, Taewon explained. Practically harmless. Jiho's face on the screen showed concern. This could affect Earth's standing in the Alliance. Many species already consider us too primitive for membership. I know. Subin warned me that some are lobbying to revoke our probationary status. Jiho thought for a moment. What's your assessment of their combat capabilities? Taewon chose his words carefully. They're physically impressive. Many species have natural weapons we can only dream about, but they rely on these advantages almost completely. Their actual combat techniques are basic, interesting. They never needed to develop advanced fighting styles because their bodies did the work? Exactly. And they depend heavily on technology. Shield generators, gravity manipulators, energy weapons. Take those away and many would struggle in hand-to-hand combat. Jiho nodded. What are you planning? I've been practicing in my quarters, adapting our techniques to their scenarios. But I need permission to demonstrate more than just the basics. Right now they think I'm just taking notes and trying to keep up. The commander considered this. You're authorized to demonstrate basic training only if necessary. Nothing classified, nothing that reveals our full capabilities. Earth needs allies, not frightened potential enemies. Understood, sir. After the call ended, Taewon returned to his quarters. Kral was out, giving him privacy. He moved the furniture to create space in the center of the room. Then he began practicing. He started with basic forms from Earth martial arts adapted for the lighter gravity. His movements were precise, controlled, the result of years of training. As he worked, he thought about the coming practical assessment. All students would need to demonstrate their combat skills. It was his chance to change some minds. The next morning, Taewon entered the training arena for practical exercises. Today's session involved combat simulations using holographic opponents. Each student will face opponents calibrated to their species' capabilities, Vix explained. The system will record your performance for evaluation. The alien students went first. Taewon watched carefully. The arthropoids use their multiple limbs and natural armor effectively. The avians like Kral use their speed and ability to jump to great heights. The aquatic species demonstrated amazing flexibility and surprising strength. Then it was Taewon's turn. Human, Vix said, mandibles clicking with what seemed like amusement. Your scenario is adjusted for your limitations, basic opponents only. Taewon stepped into the simulation area. The holographic system created 3 humanoid opponents around him. They were clearly set to a low difficulty level, moving slowly and predictably. Some alien students made sounds of amusement. Taewon heard one translator output, like watching a child's training program. He decided to make a point. Instructor, he called. These settings are too basic. Please increase to standard level. Vex's compound eyes fixed on him. You wish to fail publicly, human? Very well, the system reset. Now 6 opponents surrounded Taewon, moving faster and more strategically. This was more like it. Taewon took a deep breath and centered himself. Then he moved. His first strike was so fast that several alien students made sounds of surprise. He disabled the first holographic opponent with a precise strike to what would have been a nerve center on a human. He spun away from a counterattack, using the station's lighter gravity to his advantage as he leaped higher than would have been possible on Earth. He moved continuously, never staying still, striking with purpose and precision. Each movement flowed into the next. Years of training had made these techniques second nature. Within 2 minutes, all 6 holographic opponents were disabled. The training arena was completely silent. Vix approached, mandibles working rapidly. The system must have malfunctioned. Those opponents were not set to human levels. The system worked fine, Taewon said calmly. Humans trained to exceed our natural limitations. Impossible. Your species lacks the natural combat adaptations to perform at that level. We compensate with technique and practice. The instructor seemed genuinely confused. But your academy profile lists no natural combat advantages. That's correct. Then how did you defeat 6 standard opponents? As I said, training. Word of Taewon's performance spread quickly through the academy. That evening in the mess hall, he found himself surrounded by curious alien students. Is it true you defeated 6 combat simulators without weapons? A reptilian student asked. Yes, Taewon answered simply. But how? Your species has no significant natural combat adaptations, another insisted. We develop skills to compensate. Lith joined the conversation. Most fascinating. Humans evolved intelligence rather than physical weapons. You outsmarted evolution itself. Taewon hadn't thought of it that way. I suppose we did. Later, Subin found him in the station's observation deck, looking out at the stars. You've caused quite a stir, she said, sitting beside him. I only showed basic techniques. Basic to us, perhaps. Revolutionary to them. She handed him a datapad. The Academy Board has requested information about human combat training methods. Taewon reviewed the request. They think there's some secret, some technology or genetic enhancement we're hiding. They can't believe it's just practice and determination. Should I tell them the truth? Subin smiled. Tell them enough to satisfy their curiosity without revealing everything. Earth needs some mysteries. The next day, a new person waited with Subin when Taewon arrived for his morning meeting. She was Korean like them but wore a different uniform. Taewon, this is Yoonhee Choi. She's been sent from Earth to document your progress here. They shook hands. Yoonhee's grip was firm. Your performance has caught attention back home, she explained. I'm here to observe and report. Is there concern about my actions? Taewon asked. No, interest rather. Your demonstration has opened doors. Several species have expressed new respect for human capabilities. Taewon nodded. Good. That was the goal. The Academy has announced a practical combat assessment for next week, Subin added. All students will demonstrate their species' techniques. It will determine continued participation in the program. A test? Taewon asked. More like an exhibition, Yoonhee explained, but very important politically. Representatives from throughout the alliance will attend. What am I permitted to show? Taewon asked. The women exchanged looks. Jiho has authorized you to demonstrate standard military hand-to-hand combat techniques, Yunhee said. Nothing classified, but enough to make an impression. Understood. Over the next week, Taewon prepared carefully. He practiced in his quarters when Kral was out. The avian had become more respectful since the simulator incident, giving Taewon space when he requested it. Instructor Veeks had changed too. The open contempt was gone, replaced by careful observation. The day of the combat assessment arrived. Taewon woke early feeling a strange calm. He performed his usual morning exercises, then put on the standard Earth military training uniform Subin had brought him. The dark blue material was designed for maximum mobility, while still looking formal. The Academy's Grand Combat Arena was normally used for advanced training. Today it had been transformed. Seating surrounded the central area. Many important-looking aliens in formal attire filled these seats. Taewon recognized some as ambassadors and officials he had seen on news broadcasts. Subin met him at the preparation area. Quite a turnout, she said, trying to sound casual. Representatives from 17 alliance species. Even the hegemony sent observers. Taewon raised an eyebrow. The military faction? I thought they rarely participated in Academy events. Your simulator performance generated interest. Many want to see what humans can actually do. She handed him a small earpiece. This will translate directly. It might be useful if Veeks tries any tricks. You think he will? I think he still doesn't believe your previous performance was legitimate. Be careful. Headmaster Ulik floated in a central tank at the edge of the arena. His tentacles moved constantly as he addressed the audience. The sound system translated his speech into multiple languages simultaneously. Welcome to the Galactic Alliance Academy's Interspecies Combat Assessment. Today, students will demonstrate their species' approach to personal defense and combat. This sharing of knowledge strengthens our alliance bonds and mutual understanding. One by one, students entered the arena to showcase their abilities. The demonstrations were impressive. Arthropoid students displayed remarkable strength and speed. The silicon-based Lith demonstrated how his crystalline body could withstand enormous pressure. Avian students like Kral showed incredible aerial maneuvers. Each demonstration used the Academy's advanced technology. Some students wore powered exoskeletons. Others used personal shield generators or gravity manipulators. Finally, Vex called Taewon's name. Our Academy's first human student will now demonstrate Earth combat techniques. Taewon walked to the center of the arena. He carried no weapons, wore no special devices. He could hear murmurs from the audience, translations coming through his earpiece in fragments. So small compared to others. No visible enhancements. Primitive species. Veeks approached with what looked like a wristband. Standard combat enhancement device, he explained loudly enough for the audience to hear. All students use these for safety. Taewon held out his wrist. Veeks attached the device. Immediately, Taewon felt something was wrong. The wristband grew hot, then displayed a red error message. How unfortunate, Veeks said, not sounding disappointed at all. The system appears incompatible with human biology. Without enhancements, you cannot safely participate. Taewon understood immediately. This was Veeks's way of preventing his demonstration while saving face. He was meant to forfeit. Instead, Taewon removed the device and handed it back. I request permission to proceed without technological assistance, he said clearly. Veeks's mandibles clicked rapidly. Without combat enhancements? Impossible. The demonstration opponents are calibrated for enhanced participants. I understand the risk, Taewon replied. Humans train without enhancements. This will be a more accurate demonstration of our actual techniques. Murmurs rippled through the audience. Taewon caught sight of Subin and Yunhee at the side of the arena. Yunhee gave a small nod. Headmaster Ulik's voice came through the speaker system. The human may proceed at his own risk. Reduce opponent difficulty by 30% for safety. Veeks seemed about to object, but then moved away. The arena system activated, creating a circle of light around Taewon. A moment later, 4 holographic opponents appeared. They looked humanoid, but with enhanced features, clearly meant to represent improved versions of various species. Taewon took a deep breath and centered himself. He could feel hundreds of eyes watching him. The future relationship between Earth and the Galactic Alliance might depend on what happened in the next few minutes. He bowed formally to the opponents, then took a basic defensive stance. The holograms attacked simultaneously. Taewon moved. His first movements were deliberately simple, basic blocks and counterstrikes that any military trainee would learn. He moved efficiently, wasting no energy, each action flowing into the next. The holographic opponents were fast, but their attacks were predictable. As the demonstration continued, Taewon gradually increased his speed and complexity. He incorporated techniques from various earth martial arts, adapted for the arena's lighter gravity. He used his environment, leaping off walls in ways that would be impossible on Earth but were effective here. The audience had gone completely silent. Through his earpiece, Taewon could hear the translators working but no actual speech. Everyone was just watching. One holographic opponent managed to land a strike on Taewon's shoulder. The hit was registered by the arena's systems, which would normally have triggered protective shields. Without enhancements, Taewon felt the full impact. It hurt, but he controlled his reaction, using the pain to sharpen his focus. This visible display of pain tolerance caused a stir in the audience. Taewon could hear fragments through his earpiece, continuing despite injury. Pain response control. No medical intervention. The demonstration was supposed to last 5 minutes. At the 4-minute mark, the arena system suddenly increased to difficulty. The holographic opponents moved faster, hit harder. This wasn't part of the plan. Taewon caught a glimpse of Veeks at the control panel. The instructor had overridden the safety protocols. Instead of protesting, Taewon adapted. The higher difficulty meant he could justify showing more advanced techniques. He shifted his approach, moving from defensive to offensive. Now he attacked first, striking at vulnerable points that would disable real opponents. His movements became faster, more fluid. He used leverage instead of strength, precision instead of power. Years of training took over as his body found the most efficient ways to neutralize threats. As the difficulty increased, Taewon's focus narrowed. The audience disappeared from his awareness. The galaxy-wide politics faded away. There was only the next movement, the next opponent, the flow of combat. In Earth's military training programs, this state was well known. Instructors called it combat flow, a heightened state of awareness where training and instinct merged perfectly. To Taewon, it felt natural. To the watching aliens, it looked terrifying. Through his earpiece, he caught fragments of alarmed conversations. Combat frenzy state, berserker response, natural aggression inhibitors failing. He didn't understand their concern until later. For many Alliance species, losing emotional control during combat was seen as primitive and dangerous. His focus state looked to them like a predator's killing frenzy. Suddenly, the holographic opponents disappeared. The arena lights came up fully. Headmaster Ulick's voice boomed through the speakers. Demonstration concluded for safety reasons. Medical team to the arena floor immediately. Taewon stood in the center of the arena, breathing hard but otherwise fine. He was confused by the medical call until he realized he was bleeding from a cut on his forehead and another on his arm. Minor injuries he hadn't even noticed. A medical team rushed forward. The lead physician was an alien with blue skin and 4 eyes. The translator conveyed their shocked tone. "You're injured. Why didn't you stop?" Taewon was confused. "These are minor cuts. Not worth stopping for." This statement caused more alarm. The physician scanned him with a handheld device. "Your adrenaline levels are extremely elevated. Are you in a combat frenzy state?" "No, I'm fine. This is normal during intense exercise for humans." This didn't seem to reassure them. Taewon was escorted to a medical examination area at the edge of the arena. Through the translator, he could hear the physician reporting to others. Continued fighting despite injuries. Pain suppression capabilities. Hormone levels suggest altered consciousness state. Subin pushed her way through to his side. "Are you all right?" she asked quietly. "I'm fine. Why is everyone so concerned?" "You don't understand. Most Alliance species avoid physical combat, precisely because they can't control pain or aggression like that. What you just demonstrated frightened them." "Frightened? I was just showing basic techniques. Basic to us. Terrifying to them?" She glanced around. The hegemony representatives looked particularly interested. Not in a good way. Before Taewon could respond, a new alien approached. This one wore the insignia of the Academy's chief medical officer. The translator identified him as Dr. Plex. "Fascinating physiological responses," Dr. Plex said, examining the scanner readings. "Your endocrine system released compounds to suppress pain, increase strength, and enhance focus." "All naturally?" "Yes. Taewon confirmed. It's called the fight-or-flight response. All humans have it, all humans? Dr. Plex seemed alarmed. This is a species-wide trait? Yes, though trained individuals can control and extend the response. This information caused a flurry of discussion among the medical team. Taewon caught fragments about natural combat drugs and aggression control. Headmaster Ulick approached, his tank hovering at eye level with Taewon. Your demonstration was unexpected, the translator conveyed. The day of the formal demonstration match arrived. Harmonia Station buzzed with excitement. The event had grown far beyond what Taewon expected. What was supposed to be a simple comparison of techniques had become a cultural spectacle. Taewon arrived at the preparation area 2 hours early. He wanted time to center himself, to focus on the objective, demonstrate human capabilities while emphasizing control and discipline, not aggression. Show the Alliance that human combat philosophy was about protection, not domination. Subin met him there, her expression serious. The arena is already full. Alliance representatives from 23 species are attending. 23? There aren't even that many species in the Academy. News of your training sessions spread. Many want to see this human combat philosophy for themselves. She handed him a datapad. Ambassador Minho asked me to give you this. It shows which species are present and their current stance toward Earth. Taewon quickly reviewed the information. Most species were listed as neutral or cautiously interested. A few were marked concerned. Only the hegemony was labeled potentially hostile. The match will be broadcast throughout the Alliance, Zubin continued. Billions will be watching. No pressure. She smiled weakly. Any last-minute advice? Be yourself. Show them what humanity really is, not what they fear we might be. As she left, another visitor arrived. One Taewon didn't recognize. The alien was tall and thin, with pale skin that seemed almost translucent. The most striking feature was their eyes. Completely black but with tiny points of light that looked like stars. Human instructor Kim, the alien said, their translator producing a voice that sounded ancient somehow. I am Elder Zill, may we speak? Taewon bowed respectfully. Of course, Elder. Though I'm preparing for a match, this will not take long. Elder Zill studied him with those strange, star-filled eyes. I represent a species that observed the rise of many civilizations. We rarely participate in alliance politics anymore, but your presence has drawn our interest. I'm honored, Taewon said, unsure how else to respond. Do you know why the Alliance fears what you demonstrated? Elder Sile asked without preamble. I believe they see human combat abilities as primitive or aggressive. No, they fear because you are unique. The Elder's eyes seemed to grow deeper. Most intelligent species followed similar evolutionary paths. Natural weapons and physical combat capabilities diminished as intelligence grew. The brain replaced the claw. Taewon waited, sensing there was more. But humans evolved differently. You developed intelligence alongside your physical capabilities. You never lost your predator instincts. You refined them, controlled them, channeled them. Is that unusual? In our observation of over 4,000 intelligent species, only a handful developed this way. Elder Zile's voice grew softer. Those that did became either the greatest protectors or the most dangerous predators in their regions of space. Taewon felt a chill. And which does the Alliance fear we will become? That is what many are here to determine, including myself. Elder Zill moved toward the door. Remember this during your demonstration today. You represent not just your species but a rare evolutionary path. Show them its true purpose. With that cryptic advice, Elder Zill left, leaving Taewon with much to consider. Soon it was time. Taewon entered the arena to complete silence. The space was packed with spectators, more than he had ever seen in the Academy facilities. Screens around the arena would broadcast the event throughout the station and beyond. Instructor Veeks entered from the opposite side. The arthropoid looked impressive in formal combat attire. His exoskeleton gleamed under the arena lights, clearly enhanced with some kind of protective coating. Headmaster Ulick floated in his tank at the edge of the arena. This demonstration match will compare the combat approaches of the arthropoid and human traditions, his translator announced. Standard Academy safety protocols will be observed. Combat will continue until one participant yields or safety systems intervene. An Academy technician approached Taewon with the required enhancement. device, the same wristband that had malfunctioned during his previous demonstration. This has been calibrated for human physiology, the technician explained. It will provide minimal enhancements and standard safety monitoring. Taewon allowed them to attach the device. Immediately, he felt a strange tingling sensation throughout his body. The enhancements were working, but they felt wrong somehow, as if they were fighting against his natural movements rather than amplifying them. Veeks wore similar devices on each of his 4 arms. The arthropoid moved experimentally, his enhanced limbs flowing with unnatural speed. "Begin when ready," Headmaster Ulik announced. Taewon and Veeks approached the center of the arena. They bowed formally to each other, then took fighting stances. Veeks struck first, moving with incredible speed. Taewon barely evaded, the enhancement device seeming to lag behind his natural reactions. This would be harder than he expected. For the first minute, Taewon focused on defense, studying Veeks's enhanced fighting style. The arthropoid relied heavily on his natural advantages, multiple limbs attacking from different angles, exoskeleton providing protection. The technological enhancements amplified these advantages, making him faster and stronger. But there were patterns, predictable sequences. Veeks fought like someone who had rarely been challenged, who relied on overwhelming force rather than strategy. Taewon began to adapt. He used the arena's lighter gravity to move in ways Veeks didn't expect. Attacking from angles the arthropoid's compound eyes couldn't track effectively. He targeted joint areas where the exoskeleton was naturally weaker. The audience was silent, completely focused on the display. Through his earpiece, Taewon could hear fragments of commentary being broadcast. Human using environmental advantages, targeting structural weaknesses, tactical adaptation unlike standard combat protocols. As the match continued, Taewon felt the enhancement device growing hot against his wrist. It was struggling to keep up with his movements, which didn't follow the predictable patterns it was designed for. Veeks seemed to realize his direct attacks weren't working. The arthropoid shifted strategies, using his superior reach to keep Taewon at a distance. Taewon decided it was time to demonstrate more advanced techniques. He moved into closer range, accepting a glancing blow to get inside Veeks's guard. Once there, he applied a joint lock to one of the arthropoid's arms. It was a technique that used leverage rather than strength, perfect for dealing with a physically superior opponent. Veeks made a sound of surprise as his own strength was used against him. The arthropoid tried to counter with his other limbs, but Taewon had positioned himself perfectly. For a moment, Taewon had complete control. He could have forced Veeks to yield or potentially caused damage to the joint. Instead, he released the hold and stepped back. Confusion rippled through the arena. Taewon had voluntarily given up an advantage. Veeks's compound eyes fixed on him. "Why release?" the translator conveyed. "The objective is demonstration, not victory," Taewon replied, loud enough for nearby spectators to hear. Understanding seemed to dawn in Veeks. The arthropoid nodded slightly, then resumed his fighting stance. The match continued, but with a subtle shift. It became less a competition and more a true demonstration. Veeks would attack using his species' natural techniques enhanced by technology. Taewon would counter using human methods, showing the principles behind each movement. When Veeks demonstrated a powerful strike that utilized all 4 arms simultaneously, Taewon showed how to redirect that force rather than opposing it directly. When Taewon demonstrated a sweeping technique that used an opponent's weight against them, Veeks adapted his stance to counter it. It became a dialogue of combat philosophies. The audience watched in fascination as 2 completely different approaches to fighting found common ground in mutual respect. After 15 minutes, Headmaster Ulik called for the conclusion of the match. Taewon and Veeks returned to the center of the arena and bowed to each other again. An exemplary demonstration from both participants, Ulik's translator announced. "This concludes the formal comparison." But Veeks raised one arm, requesting permission to speak. When granted, the arthropoid addressed the audience. "Today I learned something important about human combat philosophy," Veeks's translator conveyed. "I expected primitive aggression. Instead, I found disciplined control. Humans fight not because they love violence, but because they have learned to survive despite their physical limitations." Veeks turned to Taewon. "You could have forced my yield when you captured my joint. Why didn't you?" Taewon considered his answer carefully. aware that his response would be broadcast throughout the Alliance. Because human combat training isn't about winning at all costs, he explained. It's about protection of ourselves, our allies, even our opponents when possible. We fight when necessary, but we always maintain control of ourselves. This answer seemed to satisfy Veeks. The arthropoid extended one hand in the human gesture of respect he had clearly learned for this occasion. Taewon shook it firmly. The audience erupted in a cacophony of sounds, the equivalent of applause from dozens of different species. As they left the arena, Veeks spoke quietly to Taewon. You fought well, human, but you did not show your full capabilities. 3 days had passed since Taewon's combat demonstration, and everything had changed. As he walked through the academy corridors, conversation stopped. Alien students moved aside, giving him more space than before. Some watched him with new curiosity, others with obvious caution. You've become quite the celebrity, Subin said as they met for breakfast in the mess hall. Taewon shook his head. Not the kind of attention I wanted. It's not all bad. Earth's diplomatic office has received 16 formal requests for information about human combat training since your demonstration. That's 16 species now taking us seriously. And how many now see us as a threat? Subin's smile faded. A few. The hegemony representatives left the station yesterday without explanation. That's concerning. The hegemony was the Alliance's military faction, species that maintained large defense forces despite the general peace. If they saw humans as a threat, it could cause problems. As they ate, Taewon noticed a group of alien students watching him from across the room. More fans? He asked dryly. Actually, those students have requested permission to learn human combat techniques, Subin replied. Headmaster Ulik is considering allowing a special class. Taewon nearly choked on his food. What? Why would they want to learn from us when they have all this advanced technology? Because your demonstration showed something their technology doesn't provide. Adaptability. You continued fighting effectively despite changing conditions. That impressed them. Before Taewon could respond, his communication device buzzed. A message from Professor Do-hyun. Emergency meeting. Earth Embassy. 1 hour. An hour later, Taewon arrived at Earth's small embassy on the station. Security was tighter than usual. 2 human guards checked his identification before allowing him inside. In the main conference room, he found Professor Do-hyun, Subin, and Yun-hee. They were joined by a man Taewon didn't recognize. Instructor Kim, Do-hyun said formally. This is Ambassador Min-ho Park, Earth's representative to the Galactic Alliance. The ambassador was an older man with a serious expression. Instructor, he said with a slight nod. Your demonstration has created quite a diplomatic situation. I apologize if— No need, Min-ho interrupted. You did exactly what was required. But now we must manage the consequences. He gestured to a screen showing various news reports from around the Alliance. Taewon was shocked to see his own face on several. Humans, the hidden predators? Earth concealed combat capabilities from Alliance. Human demonstrates berserker abilities at Academy. Min-ho read from the headlines. Your basic training demonstration has been sensationalized. This is ridiculous, Taewon said. I showed standard techniques, nothing special. That's precisely the point, Yun-hee said. What's standard for us appears exceptional to them. Many species evolved beyond physical combat long ago. They rely on technology for protection. And now they're afraid of us? Min-ho sighed. Some are concerned, yes. The Alliance Security Council has requested a full briefing on human combat capabilities. Taewon felt a chill. That sounds like they're assessing a threat. They are, Min-ho confirmed. Though officially, it's to better understand our new allies. What do you need me to do? Continue your training at the Academy. Answer questions honestly but simply. Don't volunteer additional information about Earth's military capabilities. Min-ho paused. And be prepared for a challenge. A challenge? Instructor Veeks has requested a formal demonstration match against you. A direct comparison of arthropoid and human combat techniques. Taewon frowned. Is that wise given the current situation? Probably not, Do-hyun admitted. But refusing would only confirm their suspicions that we're hiding something. As Taewon left the embassy, he found Kral waiting in the corridor outside. The avian seemed nervous. I heard about Veeks's challenge, Kral said without preamble. News travels fast. The entire academy is talking about it. Fix is a combat champion among arthropoids. He will not fight fairly. I assumed as much. They walked together through the station corridors. Kral's feathers were ruffled, a sign of agitation Taewon had learned to recognize. Something else is bothering you, Taewon observed. Kral hesitated. Many students have questions about humans now. About what you showed in the arena. What kind of questions? They wish to know if all humans possess these abilities. If Earth has been deceiving the Alliance about your true nature. Taewon stopped walking. What do you think, Kral? Have I been hiding something? The avian considered carefully. I think you showed exactly what you intended to show. No more, no less. Good observation. But it raises more questions, Kral continued. If what you demonstrated were truly basic skills that most human warriors possess, what are your advanced capabilities? Taewon smiled slightly. That's not something I'm authorized to discuss. This non-answer seemed to confirm something for Kral. I see. Then the rumors may have merit. What rumors? That humans developed combat skills because your world was more dangerous than most Alliance homeworlds. That you fought predators larger and more deadly than yourselves. That you even fought each other in massive wars. Earth's history is complicated, Taewon said carefully. As is the history of all intelligent species, Kral replied. But few evolved through combat as humans apparently did. When they reached their quarters, Taewon found a notification waiting. Instructor Veeks had scheduled their demonstration match for 3 days later. The message noted that standard Academy combat enhancements will be mandatory for safety reasons. He's forcing you to use their technology, Kral observed, reading over Taewon's shoulder. That will put you at a disadvantage. How so? The enhancements are designed for species with natural combat abilities. They amplify existing advantages. For species without such advantages, they're less effective, Taewon finished. I see his strategy. Later that day, Taewon received a secure communication from Director Hansol, an intelligence officer with Earth's Defense Force. The woman's expression was serious on the small screen. Instructor Kim, I've reviewed reports of your demonstration and the current diplomatic situation, she said without preamble. The upcoming match with Veeks presents both risk and opportunity. I understand the risk, Taewon replied. Losing could damage Earth's standing. Winning too decisively might escalate fears, precisely. Our intelligence suggests the hegemony is already using your demonstration to argue for increased military spending. They're painting Earth as a potential threat. What's my objective for the match? Demonstrate enough skill to maintain respect, but emphasize control and discipline over aggression. Show them that human combat training is about protection, not dominance. Hansol's expression softened slightly. And be aware that this match will be broadcast throughout the Alliance. Billions will be watching. No pressure, Taewon said dryly. Hansol almost smiled. You're authorized to demonstrate additional techniques as needed. Just remember the objective. Respect, not fear. After the call ended, Taewon spent the evening in quiet preparation. He reviewed what he knew about arthropoid physiology and fighting styles. Their exoskeletons provided natural armor. Their multiple limbs allowed for complex attack patterns. But they had limited flexibility and relied on direct force rather than leverage. A knock at his door interrupted his thoughts. It was Lith, the crystalline alien who had questioned him after class weeks ago. Human. Taewon. Lith corrected himself. May I enter? Taewon invited him in, curious. Lith's crystalline body caught the light, refracting it in beautiful patterns. I've been studying human combat philosophy since your demonstration, Lith said. Most fascinating. You have access to that information? The Academy database now includes basic human military history. Your species' approach is unique among Alliance members. Taewon waited for Lith to continue. Most species evolved past physical combat as technology advanced. Weapons became more powerful, more distant. Personal combat skills became obsolete. Lith's body shifted colors slightly. But humans continued to refine hand-to-hand techniques even as your weapons advanced. Why, it was a good question. Taewon considered his answer carefully. Because we recognize that technology can fail, that sometimes all you have is yourself. So we maintained the old skills alongside the new. Lith made a chiming sound that indicated deep thought. Logical yet unusual. Most Alliance species consider physical combat primitive, an evolutionary stage to outgrow. And now many are reconsidering this view. Your demonstration showed the value of adaptability, of maintaining multiple defense options. As they continued talking, Tae-won realized this conversation was probably not coincidental. Lith seemed too well informed, too interested in specific aspects of human combat philosophy. He was gathering intelligence, though whether for his own species or the wider alliance was unclear. Tae-won kept his answers honest but basic, sharing only information that would be available in standard historical records. If Lith was disappointed by this, he didn't show it. Before leaving, the crystalline alien made one final observation. Your match with Vix has significant implications. Many see it as a test of whether physical skill can match natural ability combined with technology. And what do you think? Lith's body pulsed with colors. I think you will surprise them again. But I wonder if that is wise.